Oh no.
You can sit back here.
I don't want to block my camera. So every time I stand up,
You want to get your picture taken back with this?
You guys all set?
I'm so excited.
Ready?
Jimmy? I am planning on it. I mean, I'll make it, but I know. We need one more.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Miles McKay. I am the presiding master for the next 30 minutes or so of King Hiram's Lodge. And I would like to welcome you all this afternoon to our 224th installation of officers. King Hiram's for years has been an integral part of Provincetown. We were chartered in 1795 by the most worshipful Grand Master of Masons in Massachusetts, Paul Revere. Which means that Paul Revere had to sign the charter for this body to become a legitimate Masonic organization. And that charter actually hangs on the back wall. That is the original charter. Since 1795, we have never missed a regular meeting. During the War of 1812, when we were occupied by the British as the naval base to attack Boston, the churches left, the town government left, the Mason state. So our next regular communication, which will be this month, the second Monday in September, is our 2,173rd meeting in a row. There is no one in Provincetown holding the meeting. In Masonry, we're taught all the time, or you're told all the time, incorrectly, that we are a secret society. We are not. We are a society with secrets, which there's a big difference. And there are basically 3 different rituals that we will let you see. One is a public installation of officers. One is a Masonic funeral. If you've never seen one, they're quite lovely. And the third is the laying of a cornerstone. So you have the opportunity today to see the installation of officers. If you have questions afterwards, and we'll give you more little historical facts about King Hiram's as we go along today. So, with that, we'll get started. Brother Marshall, you will retire the officers of King Hiram's Lodge. the Kilwinian Club of Boston is in the anteroom for the purpose of installing the officers of King Hiram's Lodge.
So you guys want the officers in the room before you guys come in?
In the chair. Underside.
Understood.
Okay, great. Thanks.
I'm just going to play
Then you're gonna go.
Worshipful Master, Right Worshipful James Logan.
Worshipful Master, I am pleased to announce that the Winning Club of Boston is in the anteroom for the purpose of installing the offices of King Hiram Lodge for the next ensuing Masonic year.
On behalf of the Lodge, I'd like to welcome the Kilwinian Club of Boston, King Hiram's, and thank you for all your labor in this, and please begin your process.
Brethren and guests all, what indeed a pleasure, privilege, and excitement to be here in King Hiram's Lodge this afternoon, coming across the bay. It was lovely. It was this way instead of this way. Before we get going tonight, I'd like to say, first of all, to the ladies how lovely you all look. And it's a pleasure. I know your husbands have already told you this, and somebody said it to you, but you really look lovely today, and that added rose upon the altar. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And we will, let's see, Brother Logan, Jim Logan, would you please give a wee bit of history about the Kilwinning Club itself?
Yes, sir. I'll be pleased. In December of the year 1924, at a Masonic Lodge in Watertown, Massachusetts, a certain Brother Smith, who was a Scottish immigrant and a fellow craft, was scheduled to be raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason, the 3rd degree. So a few months before, when some of his Scottish brethren knew this, and it was scheduled, they decided it would be a grand idea if they could put together a team made up of Scottish Masons and do the 3rd degree on this brother. And so they were given permission, and they did that, and it went over so well, and they had so much fun doing it. They decided to petition the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts to become a degree team. So when they got the form, one of the first lines was, what is the name of your degree team? So for a name, they went back to Scotland, in the county of Ayrshire, in the little town of Kilwinning, where resides the Kilwinning Mother Lodge, as we lovingly call it. Now, Lodge Kilwinning had dated back, they met in the Kilwinning Abbey, which was a small stone structure in the 12th century. Not as a Masonic lodge as we know it today, but as a stonemason's guild. The lodge came into being and probably in the 1500s. A man named Shaw wrote out some rules that today would constitute a charter. And so many years later, they started chartering Masonic lodges around the British Isles. And so in the 1600s, the Grand Lodge of England came into being. And they decided they should be the ones chartered. And not only that, but they were going to number all their lodges. Now, Kilwinning Lodge didn't like that because they considered themselves the oldest lodge, not the Grand Lodge. So they continued chartering lodges up until an agreement was reached in the early 1700s that they would no longer charter lodges, but they wouldn't have a number. So today they're known as Mother Lodge Kilwinning Number 9. So they wrote and they said, could we please use your name for our degree? And they wrote back and they said, we'd be honored if you would do that under one condition, that the name never be sullied. So about 14 months later in 1926, the Kilwinning Club of Boston was officially recognized by the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts as a degree team to do their ritual. Since that time, we have appeared in over 200 different lodges, some lodges many times. All the New England states, Rhode Island, Canada, and have taken about 3 trips over the years back to the Mother Lodge to exemplify our work. Sometime over the years, we branched off from doing strictly 3rd degrees to also doing installations, which we're doing today. And for some of you non-Masons, some of the verbiage that you hear today dates back to 300 years, it's still used. Now, membership in the club today is open to any Freemason in good standing who can prove that at least back to one great-grandparent was born in Scotland. And we do get many members of the club from meetings like this. So If anyone is interested, speak to one of us. Thank you, Worshipful. That's this to you.
Thank you. What an eventful day to start it out was coming up these stairs. Charlie, you all right?
Fine.
All right. Then we'll proceed. Worshipful Master, can I have the report on the qualifications of the Master elect?
We have, the master-elect is duly qualified and has been found to be a good provider and understanding of the arts of business.
Thank you very much. Brother Marshall, you will present to me the Master-elect of King Hiram's Lodge.
Worshipful Master, I present Brother Daniel David Llata to be installed as Master of this lodge. He's been found to be of good morals and great skills, true and trusty, and as he is a lover of the whole fraternity wheresoever dispersed upon the face of the earth, we doubt not that he will discharge his duty with fidelity.
Brother Conductor, we'll place our brother at the altar, there to receive the benefit of prayer and take upon himself his official obligation.
God, be with our brother as he has took the opportunities and challenges and burdens as master of this lodge. Endow him with the strength and courage needed for this task. Grant him with the skills of leadership that he may well exercise the management of this lodge. May he enrich our fraternity through his work. May he have the humility to treat each member as a brother, and may brotherly love, belief, and truth be ever strong within these walls and spread abroad into the community. Amen.
me your official obligation. I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason
I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason
that in the office of Master of King Hiram's Lodge,
that in the office of Master of King Hiram's Lodge,
I will, according to the best of my abilities,
I will, according to the best of my abilities,
strictly comply with the constitutions and regulations
strictly comply with the constitutions and regulations
of the most worshipful Grand Lodge of Massachusetts,
of the most worshipful Grand Lodge of Massachusetts,
the bylaws of King Hiram's Lodge,
the bylaws of King Hiram's Lodge,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
so far as the same may come to my knowledge.
so far as the same may come to my knowledge.
Please be seated. As well as previous year investiture, it is necessary that you should signify your assent to those ancient charges and regulations which point out the duty of a master of a lodge. You agree to be a good man and true and strictly to obey the moral law. You agree to be a peaceable citizen and cheerfully to conform to the laws of the country in which you reside. You promise not to be concerned in plots and conspiracies against government, but patiently to submit to the decisions of the Supreme Legislature. You agree to pay a proper respect to the civil magistrates, to work diligently, live creditably, and act honorably by all men. You agree to hold in veneration the original rules and papers of the Order of Masonry and their regular successors, supreme and subordinate according to their stations, and to submit to the awards and resolutions of your brethren when convened in every case consistent with the constitutions of the order. You agree to avoid private piques and quarrels and to guard against intemperance and excess. You agree to be cautious in carriage and behavior, courteous to your brethren, and faithful to your lodge. You promise to respect genuine brethren and to discountenance impostors and all dissenters from the original plan of Masonry. You agree to promote the general good of society, to cultivate the social virtues, and to propagate the knowledge of the arts. You promise to pay homage to the Grand Master for the time being, and to his officers when duly installed, and strictly to conform to every edict of the Grand Lodge or General Assembly of Masons that is not subversive of the principles and groundwork of Masonry. You admit that it is not in the power of any man or body of men to make innovations in the body of Masonry. You promise a regular attendance in the committees and communications of the Grand Lodge and receiving proper notice, and to pay attention to all the duties of Masonry on convenient occasions. You agree that no new lodge shall be formed without permission of the Grand Lodge, and that no countenance may be given to any irregular lodge and to any person clandestinely initiated therein, being contrary to the ancient charges of the order. You admit that no person can be regularly made a Mason in or admitted a member of any regular lodge without previous notice and due inquiry into his character. You agree that no visitor shall be received into your lodge without due examination and producing proper vouchers of the having been initiated in a regular lodge. These are the regulations of free and accepted Masons. Do you submit to these charges and promise to support these regulations as masters have done in all ages before you?
I do.
In consequence of your cheerful conformity with the charges and regulations of the order, you are now to be installed master of this lodge. Your brethren have full confidence in your care, skill, and capacity to govern the same. Masons to fit and adjust the stones of the buildings that all the parts may properly agree. So you, as master of this lodge, are admonished by the symbolic meaning of the square upon your breast to preserve that moral deportment among the members of your lodge, which should ever characterize good masons, and to exert your authority to prevent ill feeling or angry discussions arising to impair the harmony of their meetings. I also present to you the three great lights of Freemasonry, the Holy Bible, square, and compasses. The Bible, the great light of Masonry, will guide you to all truth, will direct your paths to the temple of happiness, and point out to you the whole duty of man. The square teaches us to harmonize equality by the principles of morality and virtue. The compasses teach us to limit our desires in every station. The rising to events by merit, we then may live respected and die regretted. I also present you the rule in line. The rule directs that we should punctually observe our duty, press forward the path of virtue, and inclining neither to right nor to the left, nor all actions have eternity in view. The line teaches us a criterion of moral rectitude, to avoid dissimulation in conversation and action, and to direct our steps to the path which leads to immortality. The Book of Constitutions you are to search at all times. Cause it be read in your lodge, that none may repent ignorance of its requirements. You now receive in charge the charter by the authority of which this lodge is held. As its lawful custodian, you are carefully to preserve and duly transmit it to your successor in office. You also receive in charge the records and bylaws of your lodge. The records you are to see properly kept, and the bylaws carefully and punctually executed. And placing in your hands this gavel, which is also called the hieroglyph, because it solemnly controlled and directed the workmen of the temple by the assistance of Hiram the builder. So does the master preserve order in the lodge by the aid of the gavel. I now conduct you to the Oriental chair, once built by our ancient Grand Master, Hiram King of Fire. And may a due portion of his wisdom descend upon and abide with you. All Master Masons, please rise and salute the worshipful Master with public grand honors, taking your cue from the Marshal. Marshal, you will conduct the wardens, treasurer, assistant treasurer, secretary, and assistant secretary elect to the altar. They're to take upon themselves their official obligation. after me your official obligation in serving in the proper place the office to which you have been elected. I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason
I solemnly promise on the honor of a Mason
that in the office of
Junior Ward.
Secretary, Assistant Secretary,
of King Hiram's Lodge,
King Hiram's Lodge,
I will, according to the best of my abilities,
I will, according to the best of my abilities,
strictly comply with the constitutions and regulations
strictly comply with the constitutions and regulations
of the most worshipful Grand Lodge of Massachusetts,
of the most worshipful Grand Lodge of Massachusetts,
the bylaws of King Hiram's Lodge,
the bylaws of King Hiram's Lodge,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
so far as the same shall come to my knowledge.
so far as the same shall come to my knowledge.
Of this lodge, and I invest you with this jewel and the implement of your office. It is your duty to, let's see. It is your duty. The club admonishes us to walk uprightly in our several stations. Swear on action by the swear of virtue every no. The club admonishes us to walk uprightly in our several stations. To hold the scales of justice in equal poise, to observe the just medium between intemperance and pleasure, and to make our passions and prejudices coincide with the line of our duty. You are now a voting member of Grand Lodge, and as such, are expected to attend the quarterly communications and district deputy visits as a representative of your lodge. Your regular and punctual attendance is particularly requested, and I have no doubt that you will faithfully execute the duty which you owe your presence and position. Congratulations, and look well to the south. My brothers, you have been elected secretary and assistant secretary of this lodge, and I invest you with the jewel of your office. It is your duty to carefully observe the proceedings of the lodge, keep a true and perfect record of the same, receive all monies from the hands of the brethren, and pay them through to the treasurer, taking his receipt therefor. The good inclination of masonry in this lodge will induce you to discharge the important duties of your office with fidelity. And by so doing, you will merit the esteem and applause of your brethren. Congratulations, and look well to your records. Now, Worshipful Master, as your first official duty, we would request you to announce your appointments for the ensuing year.
Yes, Worshipful. My appointments for the next ensuing year are for Senior Deacon, Brother Howard Hernandez. Junior Deacon, Richard Douglas Lee. Senior Steward, Brother Lee Zawada. Junior Steward, Brother Alex Ivy Zawada. Inside Sentinel, Brother Kevin Captanellis. And Electrician, Brother Thanasi Kouliopoulos. And Chaplain, Brother Marcos German Dominguez.
Brother Marshal, you will conduct the remaining officers to the altar. They to take upon themselves an official obligation. You will repeat after me an official obligation inserting in the proper place the office to which you have been appointed. I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason.
I solemnly promise upon the honor of a Mason.
That in the office of.
That in the office of.
Chaplain. Junior Deacon.
Senior Deacon.
Junior Steward.
Junior Steward.
Inside Sentinel.
Electrician.
I will, according to the best of my abilities.
I will, according to the best of my abilities.
Strictly comply with the constitutions and regulations.
Strictly comply with the constitutions and regulations.
Of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Massachusetts.
Of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Massachusetts.
The bylaws of King Hiram's Lodge.
The the bylaws of King Hiram's Lodge,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
and all other ancient Masonic usages,
so far as the same shall come to my knowledge.
as far as the same shall come to my knowledge.
the stewards of this morning. That's to receive jewels. Place in your hand these white rods which will bear the performance of your official duties, which are to assist the deacons and other officers in performing their respective duties. Also to see that the camps are properly furnished and refreshed, and that every brother is suitably provided for. Your regular and early attendance will afford the best proof of your zeal and attention to order. It is your special duty to guard the inner door of the lodge room, to allow none to pass or repass without permission first obtained from the worshipful medicine, under whose direction you are to act. Congratulations. It is your special duty to conduct the lighting of the lodge, the importance of which cannot be overstated. A proper and timely discharge of the duties of your office will give candidates an understanding of our degrees not otherwise obtained. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Left face. Be seated.
Brother Marshal, you will make your proclamation.
I am directed to proclaim, and I do hereby proclaim, that the Worshipful Master, Junior Warden, and all other officers elected and appointed of King Hiram's Lodge in attendance have been regularly installed into their respective stations, and that King Hiram's Lodge is now ready to act on any business which may legally come before it. This proclamation is made from the east, the west, the south. One wrap, please. Once. Twice. Thrice. All interested will take due notice and govern themselves accordingly.
This concludes the installation office. However, we have one little special additives to come tonight, and that's a charge to the master, wardens, and members of this lodge. Well, Brother Tom McClintock.
Great Worship, if you'd like to take a seat. Worshipful Master, the superintendents and government of the brethren who compose this lodge, having been committed to your care, you cannot be insensible of the obligations which devolve on you as their head, nor of your responsibility for the faithful discharge of the duties of this important trust. The honor, reputation, and usefulness of your lodge will materially depend on the skill and ability with which you manage its concerns, while the happiness of its members will generally be promoted according to the zeal and assiduity with which you disseminate the genuine principles of our institution. For those in attendance, assiduity means with great fervor. For a pattern of imitation, consider the great luminary of nature which, rising in the east, regularly diffuses light and luster to all within its circle. In like manner, it is your special province to spread and communicate light and instruction to the brethren of your lodge. Forcibly impress upon them the dignity and high importance of masonry. Seriously admonish them to practice out of the lodge those duties which they have been taught in it, and by amiable, discreet, and virtuous conduct to convince mankind of the goodness of the institution, so that when a man is said to be a Mason, the world may know that he is one to whom the burdened heart may pour out its sorrow, from whom a distressed soul may seek help, whose hand is guided by justice, and whose heart is expanded by benevolence. In short, by a diligent observance of the bylaws of your lodge, the constitutions of Masonry, and above all, the Holy Scripture, which are given as a rule and guide to your faith, You will be able to acquit yourself with honor and reputation and lay up a crown of rejoicing which shall last till time shall be no more. Brother Junior Warden, could you please rise? You are too well acquainted with the principles of Masonry to warrant any concern that you should be found wanting in the respective your respective duties. Suffice it to say that what you have seen praiseworthy in others, you should carefully imitate, and what in them may appear defective, you should in yourself amend. You are to be an example of good order and regularity, for it is only by due regard to the laws in your own conduct that you can expect obedience to them from others. You are to assiduously assist the master in the discharge of his trust, diffusing light and imparting knowledge to all whom he shall place under your care. In the absence of the master and the senior warden, you will succeed to higher duties. Your requirements of Masonic law and protocol must therefore be such that the members of the craft should never suffer for want of proper instruction. From the spirit which you have hitherto evinced, I entertain no doubt that your future conduct will be such as to merit the esteem and applause of your brethren and the testimony of a good conscience. Could I ask the other officers of the lodge to please rise? To be the master of a lodge of free and accepted Masons is an honor to which any brother may properly aspire. But as this mark of distinction can only be conferred upon a comparative few, you should consider yourself signally favored in having the opportunity to serve in the official family of this lodge. It matters not what your natural qualifications may be. There must be a period of probation, a time of testing, and a season of preparation. All of these opportunities are afforded during your occupancy of the office. And I urge upon you that each office, each responsibility in a Masonic lodge is important. So important that carelessness, neglect, or indifference cannot be tolerated. Remember, my brothers, the responsibility of this lodge must be borne by the master. Under our constitutions, he is endowed with unusual powers and prerogatives, but his burdens are correspondingly severe. He cannot evade or avoid any of his obligations, neither can he delegate any of his prerogatives. The intelligent cooperation of the officers and members of this lodge will do much to lighten his burdens and to promote the peace and prosperity of the lodge and of the craft. Please be seated. To all the Masons in the room, under our Constitution, some must of necessity rule and teach, while others must learn to submit and obey. Humility in both is an essential duty. The officers elected and appointed to govern this lodge are sufficiently conversant in the rules of propriety and the laws of our institution to avoid exceeding any of the powers with which they have been entrusted, and you are of too generous disposition to envy their preferment. I trust, therefore, that you will have but one aim, to please each other and to join in the grand design of being happy and communicating happiness. Not that happiness that is pressed upon us by social media, but that happiness that is found deep within the soul of each and every Mason. To the family, friends, and guests of King Hiram's Lodge, as this association has been formed and perfected in so much unanimity and concord, of which we greatly rejoice, so may it long continue. May you long enjoy every satisfaction and delight which disinterested friendship can afford. May kindness and brotherly affection distinguish your conduct as men and as Masons, and may the tenets of our institution be transmitted through this lodge, pure and unimpaired, from generation to generation. Congratulations, Worshipful. I wish you and your officers the best in the upcoming year.
It's not that I'm in a hurry to get out of here. Get out back on that boat with a nice cool breeze going across the bay. But the time has come for us to part. And with your permission, I'd like to reform the committee, reform the Kilburn Club of Boston for the purpose of introduction and retirement.
Of course, by all means, Right Worshipful Brother, thank you so much.
Past District Deputy Grand Master of the Hyde Park 25th Masonic District, member of Marine Lodge in Falmouth, that's just up the road. And, what else am I? That's it.
Today, past master of National Lodge, Walpole, and the current that wearing is the Wallace Lodge Hunter.
I happen to have on the Ogilvy tartan.
Tom McClintock, past master, Orient Lodge, Norwood, Massachusetts, and also degree team manager. We do have an additional member in the room. I'd like to thank our organist, Right Worshipful Charles Earl Briggs, past district deputy of the Maine 4th Masonic District. And the tartan I'm wearing is the Cahoon tartan, of which McClintock is accepted.
Gordon McDougall Craig, past master, Azure Lodge, Walpole, current president of the Co-Winning Club, and the tartan I'm wearing today is Isle of Arran.
Worshipful Dale Naismith, past master, Azure Lodge, Walpole, and today I'm wearing the Agnes top.
Matthew Morgan Bruce, past master, Orient Lodge, Norwood, and this evening I'm wearing the tartan of the Black Watch.
Jeff Miller, Senior Warden of Azure Lodge, Walpole. The tartan I'm wearing is the Black Watch.
James Michael Field, Senior Deacon, St. Albans Lodge in Foxborough, and the tartan I'm wearing is Johnson.
James Stewart Logan, past District Deputy Grand Master, 6th Masonic District, a member of William North Lodge, Lowell. The tartan I'm wearing today is named for how I feel in this heat. It's called the Ancient Logan.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and made to old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for the days of old lang syne. And here's a hand, my trusty friend, and here's a hand of mine. We'll take a right good wally whack for the days of old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll meet again some other day for the days of old lang syne.
Happy to meet. Sorry to part, but hope to meet again.
Somebody be.
By the right, quick, march!
show. All right, well, in the interest of time and the heat, I'm going to keep my prepared remarks mercifully short, I promise you. I also promise you that very soon we will be in the cool, breezy, wooded area across the street out in the open. The first thing I would like to do, before I do that, is to bring up to the east, over here, Worshipful Rev McKenzie. Welcome to the east of your lodge.
It's a pleasure to meet you on the level.
Yes, on the level.
And I'm going to tell you guys about a square deal. This Worshipful Master is the 100th Master of King Hiram's Lodge, and I'm 92nd. I'll hold that over his head for him. He asked me to explain a little bit about the regalia. And during the installation, you may have noticed that collars with symbols were given out to each of the officers as they went through the installation process. So, with masonry, people that were building stone structures had tools in their pockets, squares, levels, plumbs, ways of being able to etch the stone and do their jobs. But more importantly, the masons, the lodges that built these incredible cathedrals, also used these tools in order to impart fundamental lessons associated with being part of a group. So I square my actions. I circumscribe my passions within due bounds. A lot of these words that you've heard and you've heard today have come down to us and have actually affected the English lexicon. You hear things like this all the time. I'm just doing a square deal. I'm on the level. These pieces of regalia are mnemonic devices, are memory tools for the lessons that Masonry teaches. The artwork that's in this building is all about helping us to remember the ritual, the words, and the deeds of the brothers that have gone before us. Brothers that stand. I can't believe it.
I know. I can't believe any of the rest.
So, Daniel is wearing what is one of the few sets of Paul Revere jewels. This square, along with the rest of the emblems of these officers' offices, is a complete set here in King Hiram's Lodge, made by Paul Revere. We know this because we still have the receipt. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of history in this place. This gavel was actually made by one of the masons back after the Somerset wreck. Everybody remember the Somerset? Yeah. Rode across the shore under the moonlight. Somerset, the British frigate. It left here chasing 3 French corsairs and wrecked out on Peaked Hill bars. Every now and then that wreck uncovers as the sand moves around. And in this case, that's why he didn't bang it very hard.
I don't want to be the one to crack this one.
Yeah, right?
Oh, I wrecked.
But wait, there's more. This one, a trowel was used in 1907 by Brother President Teddy Roosevelt to spread the cement of brotherly love. And that is how you're going to run this lodge. His apron also has symbols of our fraternity on it, but this is a particular apron. It was first used in the 1790s by one of the writers, again in 1846, and then a third time in 1872 by successive generations of writers. When you look at the membership of this lodge, you see the names of the streets of this town. We are part of Provincetown, and Provincetown is part of us. And I hope you all enjoy your lodge. Your lodge.
I promise you it'll be short. I'll keep to my word. Basically, I'm just going to list a litany of thanks to everybody. I want to begin by thanking all the brothers of King Hiram's Lodge, whether present or wheresoever dispersed. Especially to Worshipful Miles McKay, where did you go? There you are. Miles McKay, the outgoing master. His hard work and all of his efforts have brought this lodge to where we are today. Look around you. We are now one of the shining stars of masonry, and from here, it's only going to go up. And I got big shoes to fill, but as my secretary, he's gone from the frying pan into the fire.
Worshipful Master, can I just bring one thing to your attention that has been hidden for 2 years under my leadership? And it's King Hiram's Lodge of Ancient Free and Accepted Masons bylaws, Article 13, Special Rule, Section 1, Complaints to the Master. Section 2, Compliments to the Secretary.
Relationship, he and I would like to thank, who's not here today, Worshipful Charles Philip Martin, who is one of the rocks and pillars of this lodge, for keeping us in line. I would like to thank all the past district deputy grand masters who are in the room. Hope I don't miss one. We have Worshipful Worshipful Coronas Calivas. We have Herb Kinney, Worshipful Herb Kinney, past DDs, no, all right. And of course, our current DD, who will speak to you shortly, with Right Worshipful William Anthony Benoit. Thank you for all of your support and tutelage. Absolutely. We would like to thank all of the past masters of King Hiram's Lodge. We have Worshipful Rex McKenzie. We have Worshipful Bill Amaru. We have Worshipful Randy Chow, who couldn't make it today. Hope I didn't miss one. Thank you for the Kill Winning Club of Boston for a ceremony that we will never forget. I certainly will never forget that. It's so touching and moving and beautiful. Thank you for Tim McCarthy of Lib TV for filming this. Thank you for other brothers who have left, who have kept this lodge going for so long. We have Brother Mario, we have Brother Cronus, we have Brother Austin over there somewhere. Yes, there you are. Brother John Kelly. And today I would like to thank all of the current and future help of this lodge. We have, for the first time in many years, we have a complete line of new officers. I would like to thank Brother Marcos German Dominguez especially. We have Brother Daniel German, Brother Kevin Captain Ellis, and I would also like to thank the Aleppo Shriners for their continuing support. Those beautiful lobster rolls we ate today is a very special thing. That was locally caught lobsters that were caught by one of our brothers of our lodge, that is Brother Chris King. That is a traditional King family recipe, and it was made by Lisa King, who slaved away in the kitchen yesterday. We have to thank her, too. I would like to thank my partner, Brother Bill Sullivan. Not Brother Bill Sullivan. Thank you very much. Stand up, Bill. Here's my rock, my pillar, and God bless him for sticking with me for nearly 10 years. Thank you, Bill. All visitors and friends, there's so many of you. Thank you all for coming. And who have I left out? I want to apologize in advance if I've forgotten anybody. Oh, and we have Master-elect from the Massachusetts Lodge, Brother Jamal Tulloch. Thank you for coming. I'm going to wrap this up now. Apology for if I forgot you. There's so many. Oh, one apology. Two apologies. I forgot to mention my installed officers. Mark, I didn't give your name, Marcos, but he's my chaplain, and Brother Nathan Guerra on the organized questioning. And last but certainly not least.
May I call you Worshipful Master to the friends?
Yes, brother.
I think it's where your top hat.
Oh,
that's right. That's a very important.
That's right.
You gotta put your top hat on.
Thank you. That's right. That's the wrong one.
Okay, now you can start over again.
Oh. Okay. We're gonna wrap this up, I promise. What's the show? All right. And the most important thing I want to mention is to every Mason there is one brother who sticks out in his formation as a Mason more than anybody else. And there is one who could not be in this room tonight. And I'm dedicating this ceremony today, this beautiful ceremony, and my entire term as long as I sit in the east of this lodge as the 100th Worshipful Master. All of this I dedicate to the memory of the Right Worshipful Southern Lippincott, who resides in that celestial lodge above, for his tutelage, his mentorship, his support of me, without which I would not be standing here before you today. Thank you, Southern. And on that note, our District Deputy Grand Master, William Anthony Lemire.
If you'd like, congratulations. Thank you. And before you go anywhere, just stand right there for a second. Hold on. There's a Holy Bible which you saw all the installed officers today take their obligations on. Worshipful Llata, when becoming a Mason, did not receive his Bible. So as a courtesy to him and for him to remember and to constantly employ this in your year, I hope that you will carry this with you on your bedside, and when in those turmoils and tempestuous seas that you may be up against in the future, all the answers are in there. So look for them, and I hope and I wish you very well this year.
May it waft you to a safe harbor.
May it waft you to a safe harbor. So if you don't mind, I'll have a few minutes, and then I'm not going to stand in the way of 50 people in the cantina. So, man, thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I bring you the warm fraternal greetings, of the Most Worshipful Grand Master of Masons in Massachusetts, Most Worshipful Paul Fulton Gleason, as well as my own. Again, the Kill Winning Club of Boston is amazing. It's an amazing thing to be involved in the history. I am a member of King Hiram's Lodge. My mother lodge is in Chatham. There are many other brethren traveling from around our district, which encompasses from Dennis to Provincetown. There are 32 other districts in the state of Massachusetts, as well as Panama and the District of Columbia, and somewhere is the other one. So we do span over. Massachusetts is the oldest lodge in the continental United States. It's oftentimes arguably between Pennsylvania and Massachusetts, but Massachusetts at the 300th anniversary in England did sit first chair. So that proved everything for us. If you have any questions, if you're not a Mason, please head over to the cantina. Understand that when we are out on the streets, when you do see squaring compasses, know that we are here for you, the community. As it was said earlier in the beginning, we are not a secret society, we are a society with secrets. But our main goal and our main focus is to support our communities, support each other, and support our families. I really appreciate you coming out and supporting King Hiram's Lodge. Worshipful McKay, wonderful job in the last 2 years. Worshipful Llata, you have very big shoes to fill, and I have no doubt that you will have a pleasurable year in the east of King Hiram's Lodge. Worshipful Rex McKenzie, it's always a pleasure to see you in Lodge. And for the members that aren't here, like the Charlie Mortons and the Ralph Desmonds, I hope to see them as well. I wish you the best of luck this year. Would you all please rise? Brother Marshall, you will escort the chaplain to the altar for a closing prayer and thankful advice.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the fraternal fellowship that we have enjoyed. May we go from this place with deeper commitment to serve others, recognizing that it is serving others that we serve thee. May we be faithful in following tenets of our prophet. Be with us now that we go our separate ways, and send us forth with strength and courage to do thy will. God be with us now as we meet again. Amen.
So may it be.
Brethren and guests, by request of the Worshipful Master, you are requested to head downstairs into the alleyway where we will process over across the street to the cantina. Thank you all for coming out today. I declare King Hiram's Lodge closed.